Everybody, welcome back to my channel, and in this video we will be learning about strings, bools, rounds, and integers in Golang. So in your Golang folder, go ahead and create a new file called strings.go, and let's use the Visual Studio Code shortcut pkgm. Let's import fmt. Now in here, let's declare a variable. Say var card. Let's say this as a string, and let's say this has a value of, we can give this any value. I'm just gonna give this a value of, let's just say something like this is a card. And now let's print that out. fmt or println card. Now cd into your Golang folder and type go run strings.go, and as you can see, we get this is a card because we assigned this card a value of this is a card. And we're also telling this Golang code that the string is actually that we cannot change the card's value to an integer or a boolean or a float 64 or float 32 or an integer, because we have already declared string over here. Okay, so that's why if you even hover on this, it says string is a set of all strings of 8-bit bytes, which but not necessarily representing UTF-8 encoded text. A string may be empty but not nil. Values of strings are immutable, which means unchangeable. So if I go ahead and do something like card again equals to a something like that, and now if I run this, now as you can see it says a. So first we're actually declaring a variable var card, and we're saying this is a string, this, and then we're saying this is, then the value is this is a card, and then we're redeclaring the card variable, and we're giving this a value of a, and then once we print it, we get a, because the Golang code prints the updated value of a string. But for example, we can only redeclare the variable and assign this a value of a string. For example, we cannot do like an integer in here because we will get an error, because we can only do strings because we defined string over here. Okay, so if we want to change the value or update the value, we have to make it a string. We cannot make it like an integer or a boolean property, because it just has to be a string because we said this is a string. Okay, in here buffer, if I just remove the string and if I just simply do var card and then we say this is a card, then I do it's this, we will still get an error, because even though we did not type string over here, the Golang still knows that this card variable is a string because it has these double quotes, these double quotes right here. So that's how Golang knows that this is a string. We can only update the value of that specific data type that we declare. For example, let's in here say var integer equals to, var integer equals to 3, and then fmt.println integer. So now interface, we'll learn about interfaces in a future video, but just integer right now. Go run strings.go, and we get 3, but let's actually update this value. To update the value, to have integer equals to, let's say 4, and after run this, it prints the updated value. Now since we said this is an integer in here, the Golang already knows that this is an integer, so we cannot give this a value of a string. We can only do an integer. Even though we did not put int after this, Golang still knows that this is an integer. So let's talk about what are dynamic types and static types. Dynamic types are programming languages where once you declare a value, then it cannot be updated. For example, it can be updated, but static types, they cannot be updated. For example, JavaScript, Python, and Ruby are dynamic types. Static types are examples of C++, Java, or Golang, or which we are using, okay? So I think that's it for strings. Now let's go ahead onto integers. So create a new file, integers.go, pkgm, import fnt. Now, let's learn about integers. Let's say we give some integer value. Okay, so we give this integer a value of 3. Now, if we want to update the value, we do not have to put var integer, or else we will get an error. And if I say it's 4, we will get an error. If we want to update the value, we should remove this var because we will get an error. But we're using var in here, then we're updating it, and if we print it, let's just clear this out, and then now go run strings.go. We get 3. We're not getting the updated one for some reason. Okay, it's not being updated. Let's see why that's happening. So if I do int in here, no. Oh, sorry. It's actually doing that because we're running the strings.go. We're not running the integers.go. Integers.go. That's my bad. Sorry. Go run integers.go. Now, as you can see, the output is 4. The output is 4 because we updated it. Now, let's say we want to check if this integer's value, the updated integer's value, is greater than 5. To do that, you can see integer, this symbol, greater than symbol, 5. Now if I run go run integer.go, everything's false, because we know that the integer, which is 4, is not greater than 5. If we even do less than, we get true because the integer value is less than 4. And less than, I mean 5. So that's why we will get true. Okay. So I think that's it for integers. It was just about this. And one more thing about integers is that if you type in here, let's say constant integer equals to 3, and then let's say constant integer equals to 3, and then if you say fmt.println integer, you will still get the same output, which is 3. So if I run integers.go, we get 3, of course. But now we cannot update the value, because when we use constant in Golang or in C++ or in JavaScript or Java, then we cannot redeclare the value or update the value. So if I say constant integer equals to 3, and then again if I say the integer has 4, we will get an error because we're redeclaring it after using constant. But if we use var, we will not get that error, because with var we can actually update the value, but using constant we cannot update the value. So that's why we will get an error, cannot assign to an integer, because the int constant is already has a value of 3. So I think that's it with integers. Now let's go on to boolean properties. Bools.go, pkgm, package main function, and then import fmt. Now in here, let's define some boolean. variable. So if I say in here var my bool is as bool, and then if I say fmt, print ln my bool, and then if I run this, go run bools.go, we get false. Why are we getting false if we did not even assign this my bool a value of false? We're getting this because whenever we declare a variable which has a boolean value, but we do not tell the program which value it has, true or false, the program just automatically sets the value to false because it doesn't know what to do. So it just randomly does false. But if we assign this my bool a value of true, now it knows that this my bool has a value of true, so that's why it prints true. But if we just do false, if we just do bool, then it will just normally just print false because that's what it sets the value to if we do not give it any value. That's what Golang just does. Okay. Now that was just it for bools. But one more thing is that if we define something in here, var integer is, let's say 3, and let's right in here say fmt, now print ln the integer equals to 4, and then we will get an error because it will say, wait, we have to do equals to, actually, yeah. Now it will say false because we definitely know that the integer is not equal to 4. We know that the integer has a value of 3, so that is why it prints false, because we of course know that the integer does not have a value of 4, it has a value of 3, so that's why it prints false. But if I change this to 3, and then if I say go run bools.go, we get true because it is true that the integer is 3, and yeah, the integer is 3, so that's why we do get true. So I think that's it for booleans. Now let's learn about reons. So go to create a new file, reons.go. Now let's learn what are reons. So in here you type pkgm package name function for fmt. Now we're gonna do something special in here. So if I say fmt, print ln single quotes, don't do double quotes. We would normally do double quotes, but do single quotes, okay? And inside those single quotes, type a. Now the output will be 65, so go run go. The output will be 65. So why is it printing 65? So the Golang program does not know what a is, okay? So let's say, for example, if we just use double quotes and print a, and then go run go, it just prints a. But the program actually does not know what is a. It only knows that a has a value of 65 in binary code. So it takes the a's value, it looks for a's value, which is 65, and then it converts the value into the normal letter or alphabet. Then it prints it. But if you just want to see what the value is, fmt to print ln a. Now go run go. I meant to do so now if we do this, it does 65 because we're just like telling the program, okay, what is the value of a in binary code? So then it prints 65. And inside these reons, we can only do one integer because more than one integer does not have a value. For example, if we do dd in here, go, then it says more than one character in literal. We can only have one character inside this reon literal, because if you have more than one character, only one alphabet is allowed to be in the reon, because if we have multiple characters, multiple characters do not have a value in binary code. So that is why we get an error. And just to be more clear, I just want to say that if I run runes.go, we get into 100 because this D has a value of 100, and every programming language has the same value for each alphabet. For example, in Python, create a new file, test.py, and say print word of, let's say, D. Now if I run this, type Python test.py, we also get 100. So this tells us that every programming language has the same binary number for each alphabet. For example, in Go, the binary number of D is 100, and when we ran this Python code, it was also 100. So the binary code is the same, but the compiler or interpreter reads it in a different way. Okay, so I think that's it for runes. And one more thing about runes, even in some one literal integer, one character integer even has a value in Golang and Python. So if I go run runes.go, now even this one has a value. This one, the program doesn't know what 1 is. So it checks for 1's value, and it knows that 1 has a value of 49. And if we even do it in our Python code in here and run python test.py, now we also get 49 because it's definitely the same. Okay, so now let's create a simple calculator. Before even creating a simple calculator using Golang, let's first learn about slices in Golang. So create a new file in here, call this slices.go, and also create a new file, call this one variables.go, and create a new file in here, call this one calculator.go. Now let's delete this test.py file used for testing purposes, and let's create our simple calculator. So type pkgm, and let's say import fmt, and after that let's type in fmt.println, enter a number. Now, so you're say var num1 is going to be an integer, and then type in fmt not scan ln and num1 fmt.println, enter another number, and then I forgot to add this one here, var num2 is an integer, and then fmt.scan ln num2, and then fmt.println num1 plus num2, fmt.println num1 minus num2, fmt.println num1 divided by num2, and then fmt and I'll print ln num1 percentage of num2. So let's run this, go run calculator.go, and now it says enter a number. I can enter a number, let's say I enter 50, and then okay, we get an error, integer divided by 0. Okay, I forgot to put an and sign over here. That was my error. Now let's run this. Now it says enter a number. Let's say I enter 50. Let's say it says enter another number. Let's say I enter 32, and it prints all the values. It says 32 plus 50 is 82, and the subtraction is 18, and the division quotient is 1, and the percentage is also 18. Okay, so we have successfully created a simple calculator using user input in memory storage and memory addresses, which I explained in my previous videos. And then we're just calculating this, and that was just simple. Now let's learn about variables. So let's learn about something which is called a shorthand variable. So what is a shorthand variable? Import fmt. So we can do something like this: var card equals to, let's say this is a string, and this equals to ace of spades. And now in here, if I type in fmt.println card, we will get ace of spades. Go run variables.go. We do get ace of spades, but another simpler way to do it is something like this. So wait, comment this out, and we can do something like this: card colon equals to ace of spades. So if I go run variables.go, we still get ace of spades, but this is just a faster way. This is called a shorthand variable. So let me just write that down. Shorthand variable. So this is called a shorthand variable. It's called a shorthand variable. Card, then colon equals to ace of spades. But if you do something in like var card, then you will get an error, because if you want to do something like var and then card, then you have to just put an equal sign, which is exactly the same thing we did here, but just a faster way is just doing it like this: var colon equals to ace of spades. Okay, now let's go into our slicer.go, which is the last thing for today. So now in here, let's type in pkgm and then import fmt, and then in here, let's type in, let's create a slice. In order for slices to work, we first need to create an array. So I'll just create an array: var array equals to, let's say we're gonna have 3 elements in this, and it's gonna be an integer, and let's say we're gonna have 0, 1, and 2. Or let's just make this actually a string, and let's in here say we're gonna have Max, Tim, and John. Sorry, John. 0, 1, 2, 2, 3, 0, 2. We can have, I guess. Okay, we're gonna have more values. Just Max, Tim, and John. And now let's print this array out. fmt println array. Go run slices.go. It says Max, Tim, John. But how slices work? Our slices just print a specific item from the array. So what I mean is that, so let's create a slice. In here say var my slice equals to the array of 1, 1, 3, and now let's print the my slice. So if I run the slices.go, we get Tim and John. Why? So we are actually creating a variable called my slice. Okay, and then we're saying this slice is gonna be in the array. So what slice does, it prints one item to another item in an array. So for example, in this we're saying var my slice equals to the array, and in that array we're saying print the first element. This is the first element, Tim, all the way to the third element. No, actually, I mean this is the first element, and then it's saying print all the way to the third element, which is 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and then that's why. No, we're actually. So actually, let me just explain what's going on. So first of all, we know that this is the 0th element, and this is the first element. So we're telling the slice that go into the array and look at the first element. That's what we're saying. Then it looks at the first element. This is okay. It says okay, this is 0. Okay, and then this is the first element. Then it says go all the way to the third element. So there is no third element in here. we will not get an error, but it will just not work. I just do 2 in here. Now, so when the slices.go, we could just get Tim. So it's saying in here, so we're telling this a slice to print everything in between Tim and John. So everything in between Tim, so we're not saying just everything between Tim and John. We're saying the slice itself just starts from max, and then it ends at the array we did over here. So we did 0, 1, 2, so it ends here, and it prints everything in between the first 0th element to the element we declared here, and everything between this element and this element is Tim, so that is why it prints Tim. So another thing we can do is that we can do a shell copy. For example, let's say var my slice is this thing, and then we can say var another slice equals to, let's say, my slice of, wait, we have to do something like 1 colon, and in here we can add 2. Now fmt.println another slice and go run slices.go. Okay, we get an error. Let's see why. Okay, this should actually be colon. Now it says Tim and John. So when we just did 1 to 2 in this my slice, we just got Tim. But when we did a shell copy, did var another slice equals, so we're saying that this another slice variable has a value of this my slice variable, and this my slice is actually just saying from the first element 2, and then this var another slice is saying this my slice the first element to the second element. So then one feature of using this is that it prints Tim and John. Before we just got Tim, but if we create a shallow copy, we get Tim and John, because the shallow copies of slices starts from, I think, 0 to the second element, 0, 1, 2, and it prints those two elements. Those two elements. And I think that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys had a great time learning about all these things in Golang. Please make sure to smash that like button. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys next time.